She left her poor boyfriend for a wealthy man. 5 years later, she begged him for a job. Marcus Chen sat in his corner office on the 42nd floor, the city sprawling beneath him like a glittering tapestry of ambition and broken dreams. The leather chair beneath him was Italian, the watch on his wrist Swiss, and the view from his window worth more than most people's annual salaries. But none of it had come easily, and none of it had come without cost. He was reviewing quarterly reports when his assistant Jennifer knocked softly on the door. Her expression was unusual, somewhere between apologetic and concerned. "Mr. Chen, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's quite insistent. Says you know her personally." Marcus looked up, his dark eyes curious. "Did she give a name?" Jennifer hesitated. "Victoria Hartwell. She said to tell you it's Victoria Morrison." Her maiden name. The pen in Marcus's hand stopped moving. Victoria Morrison. He hadn't heard that name in 5 years, though he'd thought about its owner more times than he cared to admit. The woman who had once been everything to him, the woman who had chosen a bigger bank account over his heart. "Send her in," he said quietly, his voice betraying nothing of the storm suddenly brewing inside him. When Victoria walked through the door, Marcus had to grip the armrest of his chair to steady himself. She was still beautiful, perhaps even more so than he remembered. But there was something different about her now. The confidence that had once radiated from her like a second skin seemed dimmed, replaced by something more fragile. Her designer clothes, while still expensive, had the faint look of being a season or two old. Her eyes, once bright with certainty about her place in the world, now carried shadows. "Marcus," she said softly, standing in the doorway as if afraid to come closer. "Victoria." He didn't stand, didn't smile. "This is unexpected." She closed the door behind her and approached his desk slowly, as if crossing a minefield. "I wasn't sure you'd agree to see me. I almost didn't." He leaned back in his chair, studying her with the same analytical gaze he used to assess business deals. 5 years is a long time. What brings you here?" Victoria sat down in the chair across from him without being invited, and he noticed her hands trembling slightly as she placed her purse in her lap. "I need your help, Marcus. I need a job." The irony was so sharp it could have drawn blood. Marcus allowed himself a small, humorless smile. "A job? You want me to give you a job? I know how this must sound, do you?" He leaned forward, his voice still calm but carrying an edge now. "Do you really know how this sounds, Victoria? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like the woman who told me I would never amount to anything is now asking the man she left behind for employment." She flinched at her own words thrown back at her, and he saw genuine pain flash across her face. "I deserve that," she whispered. "I deserve all of it." "But I'm desperate, Marcus. I wouldn't be here otherwise. Tell me what happened." He wasn't sure why he wanted to know. Perhaps it was the part of him that had never fully healed from her departure, the part that needed to understand how someone could throw away what they'd had together. Victoria took a deep breath, and when she began speaking, her voice was barely above a whisper. "You remember Richard Hartwell, don't you? The investment banker I left you for?" "I remember." How could he forget? Richard Hartwell, with his mansion in the Hamptons, his collection of vintage cars, his family name that opened every door in the city. The man Victoria had deemed more worthy of her time, her future, her love. "He was everything I thought I wanted," Victoria continued, staring at her hands. "Wealthy, successful, connected. When I met him at that charity gala, the one you couldn't attend because you were working late on your startup, he swept me off my feet. He made me feel like I could have the life I'd always dreamed of, the life you couldn't give me then." "So you left," Marcus said flatly. "You left a note on the kitchen table of our apartment and moved into his penthouse that same week. I was cruel. I know that now." Tears began to well in her eyes. "I was young and stupid, and so convinced that money was the answer to everything. I thought love was a luxury I could afford to sacrifice if it meant security." "And now?" Marcus asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "Now I know that security built on the wrong foundation is just an illusion. She wiped her eyes quickly, trying to maintain composure. Richard wasn't what he seemed. The wealth, the success, so much of it was built on lies, fraudulent investments, embezzled funds, schemes that I didn't even begin to understand until the FBI showed up at our door 18 months ago. Marcus felt a cold shock run through him. FBI? Victoria nodded miserably. He's in prison now, 15 years for securities fraud and money laundering. And when the government seized his assets, they took everything. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, everything that was in both our names. I've been fighting in court for over a year just to prove I had no knowledge of his illegal activities, that I shouldn't be held criminally liable. Were you criminally liable? No, she said firmly, meeting his eyes for the first time. I was willfully blind, perhaps, too caught up in the lifestyle to ask hard questions, but I never knew what he was doing. The prosecutors eventually agreed, which is why I'm sitting here instead of in a cell. But I lost everything anyway. My reputation, my social circle, my sense of who I was. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. The vindictive part of him, the part that had spent countless nights wondering what Victoria was doing, if she was happy, if she ever thought of him, felt a bitter satisfaction. But there was another part of him, a part he thought he'd buried long ago, that felt something uncomfortably close to sympathy. You still haven't explained why you're here, he said finally. Why you think I, of all people, would help you. Because you're successful now, Victoria said simply. Everyone knows the story of Marcus Chen, the poor kid who built a tech empire from nothing. Your company is on the cover of every business magazine. You're exactly what Richard pretended to be. Someone who actually earned their success through hard work and innovation. Flattery won't work on me, Victoria. It's not flattery, it's the truth. She leaned forward, and he could see the desperation in her eyes now. I've applied to over 200 jobs in the past 6 months. No one will hire me. My association with Richard, the scandal, the trial, it follows me everywhere. The moment I walk into an interview and they recognize my name, I see their expressions change. I'm toxic by association. So I'm your last resort. You're my only resort. She swallowed hard. I'm 3 months behind on rent for a studio apartment in Queens. I'm living on credit cards that are almost maxed out. I've sold everything of value I had left. Marcus, I'm not asking for a handout. I'm willing to work, to start at the bottom, to do whatever it takes. I just need someone to give me a chance. Marcus stood and walked to the window, his hands clasped behind his back. Below, the city moved on, indifferent to individual struggles. He had worked so hard to get here, to build something from nothing. After Victoria left, he'd thrown himself into his work with an almost manic intensity. The pain of her betrayal had been the fuel that drove him through countless 18-hour days, through failures and setbacks and moments when he wanted to give up. And now she was here, asking him to save her. Do you remember what you said to me that last night? He asked quietly, still facing the window. When I found your note and called you, begging you to reconsider? Victoria's voice was barely audible. I said a lot of things I regret. You said I was too focused on pipe dreams to see reality, that you couldn't waste your life waiting for me to grow up, that Richard was a real man with real success, while I was just a boy playing at business. He turned to face her. You laughed when I said I loved you. Actually laughed, Victoria, like it was the most ridiculous thing you'd ever heard. Tears were streaming down her face now. I'm so sorry, Marcus. I've been sorry every day since, especially when I realized what I'd given up. When did you realize that? When Richard was arrested? When the money ran out? No. She stood facing him across the expanse of his office. I realized it 6 months after I left you. I woke up one morning in that big empty penthouse, with Richard already gone to work, and I felt completely alone. I had everything I thought I wanted, the ring, the house, the lifestyle, but I was miserable, and I knew why. Why, Marcus asked, though he told himself he shouldn't care. Because none of it meant anything without real connection. Richard didn't love me, he loved having a beautiful accessory. I didn't love him, I loved what he represented. We were both using each other and we both knew it. But I'd made my choice, and I thought I had to live with it. By the time I admitted to myself that I'd made a terrible mistake, too much time had passed. I thought you'd hate me too much to ever speak to me again. I did hate you, Marcus admitted, for a long time. You broke something in me, Victoria. Made me question whether I was foolish for believing that what we had was real. It was real, she said urgently. At least it was for me, even if I didn't appreciate it until it was too late. You were the only man who ever truly saw me, Marcus. Not the pretty face or the social climber, but the actual me, the girl who wanted to read poetry in bed on Sunday mornings, who cried at sad movies, who dreamed of making a difference in the world. That girl made a choice, Marcus said harshly. She chose wealth over love, security over authenticity. That girl was an idiot. Victoria wiped her eyes. And she spent 5 years paying for it. But she's learned, Marcus. She's learned what matters and what doesn't. She's learned that integrity is worth more than a bank balance, that self-respect is more valuable than social status. Marcus returned to his desk and sat down heavily. He looked at Victoria, really looked at her, and saw someone different from the woman who had walked out of his life. The suffering she'd endured had changed her, refined her somehow. The superficiality that had once clung to her like expensive perfume was gone, burned away by hardship. "What kind of work are you looking for?" he asked finally. Hope flared in her eyes. "Anything. I have a degree in marketing, but I'd be willing to start in an entry-level position. Administrative work, customer service, whatever you have available." Marcus pulled up his company's internal job listings on his computer. "I have an opening in our public relations department. It's not glamorous. Mostly handling media inquiries, drafting press releases, managing our social media presence. The pay is decent, but not extraordinary. You'd be working long hours, reporting to a department head who's known for being demanding." "I'll take it," Victoria said immediately. "You haven't heard the rest." Marcus looked at her steadily. "If I do this, and that's still an if, there would be conditions. You would be treated exactly like every other employee. No special treatment, no shortcuts because of our history. In fact, I'd probably be harder on you than others, just to avoid any appearance of favoritism. And if you don't perform, you're out. No second chances based on old feelings. I understand. Do you?" Marcus stood again, coming around the desk to stand in front of her. "Because I need you to understand something else too, Victoria. I'm not doing this because I still have feelings for you. Whatever we had died 5 years ago, I'm not your boyfriend anymore, and I'm not looking to revisit the past." The hope in her eyes dimmed slightly, but she nodded. "I understand. I'm not asking for anything more than a professional opportunity." "Good." He crossed his arms. "There's one more thing. Why should I trust you? You walked away from me when things were hard, when the future was uncertain. How do I know you won't do the same thing to this company if something better comes along?" Victoria met his gaze directly. "You don't know. You can't know. All I can tell you is that I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I've learned what happens when you build your life on shallow foundations. I've learned that character matters more than credentials, that loyalty is worth more than opportunity. But I know words are cheap. The only way I can prove it is through my actions, if you give me the chance." Marcus walked back to his desk and pulled out a business card. He wrote a name and extension on the back and handed it to her. "Call this number Monday morning. Ask for Sarah Chen, my cousin who runs HR. Tell her I sent you for the PR position. She'll set up a formal interview. If you pass that, you'll start on a probationary basis for 90 days. Victoria took the card with shaking hands, staring at it as if it were made of gold. "Thank you, Marcus. You don't know what this means to me. Don't thank me yet. Prove you deserve it." He opened the door, a clear dismissal. "And Victoria, I meant what I said. This is business, nothing more. Don't mistake professional courtesy for personal forgiveness." She nodded, clutching the card to her chest as she walked toward the door. But she paused at the threshold, turning back to him one last time. "For what it's worth, I never stopped thinking about you, about us, about what I threw away. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, and I'm not asking for it. But I want you to know that seeing what you've become, what you've achieved, I'm proud of you, Marcus, even if I have no right to be." Then she was gone, leaving Marcus alone in his office with his thoughts and the ghost of feelings he thought he'd buried long ago. He sat down heavily, the weight of the decision he'd just made pressing on him. Had he done the right thing, or had he just opened a door that should have remained closed forever? Only time would tell. But as Marcus returned to his work, he found himself unable to concentrate. The past, it seemed, was never quite as dead as we wanted it to be. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the same office, reviewing Victoria's 90-day performance evaluation. Sarah had been thorough in her assessment, exceeds expectations in all categories. Exceptional work ethic, creative problem-solving, excellent team collaboration. Recommend permanent position and consideration for advancement. Marcus signed off on the recommendation, then filed the paperwork away. Victoria had proven herself, just as she'd promised. But whether that proof extended beyond professional competence into something deeper, whether second chances were possible not just in business but in matters of the heart, that was a question Marcus wasn't yet ready to answer. Some doors once closed could be opened again, but whether they should be was another matter entirely.